for submission to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program. If you wish to comment on the change in use at the end of the presentation, we will individually recognize folks to deliver your questions or comments. This will ensure that each individual's comments are recorded accurately. Each speaker will have the opportunity to comment once for a period not to exceed 5 minutes. During this presentation, the host will mute everyone to eliminate any background noise. We ask that everybody stay on mute until the question and comment portion. Once the presentation is complete, participants will be able to unmute themselves for comment at that time. Pursuant to section 7:36, 25.6A1 of the Green Acres Regulations, this public hearing is being held in conjunction with the creation of a destination athletic facility as part of Middlesex County's Community Innovation and Opportunity Strategic Investment Plan. As part of this new destination athletic facility, the county will update the use of up to 11 acres of Thomas A. Edison Park in Edison Township from passive to active park facilities, including athletic fields, tennis courts, walking paths, comfort stations, and a new field house in support of outdoor recreation. I will now turn the hearing over to Mr. John Phillips from ACOM, who will begin our presentation.
Thank you, Rick. Are we up? Is on the journey? Put the slide up, or do you want? There we go. Thank you. The Community Innovation and Opportunity Strategic Investment Plan is an unprecedented opportunity to cement Middlesex College's place as one of the best two-year colleges in America. By expanding the educational offerings of both the college and the magnet school system to turn the campus into a multifaceted destination for the community here in Middlesex County. The CIO plan builds on Middlesex College and Edison Park's central presence in the county and region for learning, training, culture, living, and recreation. The enhancements to learning come from data analysis of existing enrollments and future plans for the next 10 years. The results of this analysis is a master plan that includes renovations to 4 academic buildings and new academic space integrated into the training and recreation initiatives of the CIO plan. The centerpiece of the training improvements is a new academic workforce development conference center designed to provide a highly utilized building that blends flexible academic space that can also be used for conferences and workforce training. This unique multifaceted building will have functioning workforce development space that will also be used for demonstrations during workforce conferences. This unique facility will make the center the only one of its kind in the region. Culturally, the plan includes not only improvements to the college's performing arts facility, but will also utilize the recreational improvements to support the interests of Middlesex County's diverse ethnicities. Multiple recreation enhancements include a new Middlesex County Park located on the north lawn of Middlesex College along Woodbridge Avenue. This new park will include an amphitheater, new pedestrian trails, a destination playground, and other passive recreational spaces, including rolling lawns and new forested areas. The center of the new park will be a new multi-purpose community venue that will provide a small fixed-seat venue for a variety of sports and recreational activities, including a space for cultural events, music festivals, and concerts. Associated with this venue will be a new student building that includes a unique food establishment for the student population and community, an academic space that will provide the college's highly successful culinary arts program. Within Edison Park, an enhanced recreational facility will be built that includes 11 multi-sport linear fields and 3 multi-sport with baseball. The 14 new synthetic fields will provide the community with dependable access for low-maintenance fields that are less likely to be closed due to weather conditions. The fields will be made with recycled material, and at the end of their useful life will be recycled again. A 500-foot diameter grass cricket field will be provided to support the strong interest in the community for a recreational cricket pitch. A new playground, 8-lane track and 16 hard surface courts lined for tennis and pickleball will be provided to replace the facilities already in the park. A field house will provide a food venue and restroom facilities for the public. 2 remote restroom facilities include storage facilities to support the recreational uses, as well as 2 small convenience stores. We're incredibly excited for this project because we know it will benefit the community as much as it will the college and the students it serves. Now we'll pass this over to Nigerian, who will speak to the technical aspects of the project.
And as a reminder, we ask all folks, please mute yourself to eliminate any background noise or interference. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Phillips just described, Thomas Edison Park is adjacent to Middlesex County College. The park is currently developed for active and passive recreation. The slide shown here shows the existing park features. It exists of 6 grass, soccer, lacrosse fields, 3 baseball, softball fields, a track with the grass multi-sport field, a field house, 16 tennis courts, 2 comfort stations, walking paths, parking, and a playground. The proposed park will have 10 multi-sport soccer lacrosse fields, artificial turf fields, 3 baseball softball with multi-sport capability, track with the stands and a multi-sport artificial turf field, grass regulation sized, international regulation sized cricket field, 16 tennis courts with pickleball markings, a field house, 3 comfort stations, actually 2 comfort stations, concession stands, a playground, increased parking, and walking paths, which maintain the connection to Raritan Center, and the existing paths in the wooded areas. So the attached is the slide of the proposed improvements. And there's some plantings that will be placed around the site to compensate for some of the wooded area.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. This concludes the presentation portion of our hearing this evening. As a reminder to everybody, all supporting information and materials are available on the county website on the Parks and Recreation page. In addition to any comments that we record this evening, individuals may also provide written comments as well by April 12th, 2023 to myself, P.O. Box 661, New Brunswick, New Jersey, 08903. I'll also put my email in the chat, so this way any comments can be directed via email as well. All comments received by the deadline will be forwarded to the Green Acres program. At this point in our public hearing, we are going to move to the question and or comment opportunity. So in order for us to be able to kind of maintain a little bit of order here so that we can accurately, again, record everybody's questions and or comments, you can, for those who are, hopefully we're all familiar by Zoom by now, but at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you've got, if you put your cursor down there, you've got a reactions button where you're able to raise your hand. And in this way, we can kind of acknowledge folks one at a time. I will say is that, as folks come on, we ask folks to limit your comments to 5 minutes so that we have ample time for everybody who wants to ask a question or do a comment. So at this point, I will open the hearing to any questions or comments from the public. Okay, I'm going to recognize the kind of the first hand I see at this point. The name I see on the screen is Emily or Emile D.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We certainly can.
Hi, this is Emil DeVito. I live in South Plainfield, 1606 Fraser Street. 20 some odd years ago, I was the chair of the Middlesex County Open Space Committee, but I was kicked off by the freeholders when I was objecting to trying to build a senior citizen village on wetlands in Old Bridge, which eventually, after the county wasting about $12 million trying to get wetland permits that they couldn't get, they ended up calling it James A. Phillips County Park. I'm no stranger to Middlesex County. I'm no stranger to the way Middlesex County operates. I believe this is a Green Acres diversion and not a change of use. I am heartened to see that there's some additional parkland going to be created on the north side of the Middlesex County College campus to replace some of what's being lost at Thomas A. Edison Park. But what you're proposing to create here is a commercial sports venue for renting out to teams from all over the eastern United States. From what I understand, a typical team pays about $1,000 to come to a tournament for a weekend. 14 soccer fields could accommodate up to 200 teams on a weekend tournament, which means that somebody could make up to $200,000 a weekend. Initially, there's going to have to be a lot of marketing. Someone's going to have to run all the marketing to attract tournaments, to attract teams from, organizations all over the East Coast to come here for tournaments. It's going to cost a lot of money to do that. It's not going to be run by the county. It's going to be run by a private venture at some point. So I believe that parkland is being taken away from the people of Middlesex County here. I'm not exactly sure how many acres are being taken away because, as you mentioned, you are offering some additional parkland and, some amenities. But for the most part, this is going to be one giant AstroTurf complex that's not really a park. It's going to be a facility that people have to rent, private organizations. I'm sure you're already probably having discussions with the New Jersey Youth Soccer Organization. I would like you to put all of the paperwork, conversations that you've had with potential organizations that are going to run this facility or rent the facility or market the facility on the record so that we can make comments on that regarding the Green Acres potential diversion that's here. It costs about $2 million to build one turf soccer field. You're proposing to build 14. That's probably going to cost about 25 to $30 million. At the most, they last 10 years and then they have to be replaced. And that'll cost another 14 or $15 million, even if prices don't go up. So you're looking at, in a 10-year period, investing about $45 million into this. And in order to make that back, in order to not waste taxpayer dollars, that means this place is going to have to be occupied so often that it's almost never going to be available to residents of Middlesex County at a timely time, like nice, beautiful spring and summer and fall evenings or at weekends. It's going to be jam-packed with people all over from the eastern United States in private tournaments that they have to pay money to get into. So I would consider this a Green Acres diversion. I'm going to examine all the documents and comment on it by the time that you propose. And I'm going to suggest to Green Acres that this is a diversion and that if you want to establish this facility, which might be a nice thing to have, you're going to have to replace acres and acres and acres of parkland for the people of Middlesex County so that they don't get ripped off by this violation of the public trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. DeVito. The next hand I see raised I've got is a hand under Kayla. So Kayla, just your name and your town, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay, so my name's Kayla. I'm in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I just recently found out about this plan, but I think that, hopefully we can all realize how much pollution there is in New Jersey. We don't need to reduce any amount of green acre land. We need to preserve it, and we don't need to privatize any more public space. With that, I'm wondering if this private company, if any of that money is going back into the community that they're taking land from. And then I know that they said they're going to plant more trees, but I don't believe that. And even if they are, it's really not going to, it's going to take years, and it's going to be expensive, and it's not going to make up for the damage that it's done and the time that is taken away without all these trees. That's years that we don't have. We're in an environmental health crisis, essentially. And this is going to be taking away green space to create it. I can't even go into all the pollution that's going to go into creating it and putting down the AstroTurf. But basically, I'm just saying that this is free, public, open space that we need to maintain for our community. And we don't need any more private organizations taking our land. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. Do we have additional members who are on the call from the public who would wish to ask a question or provide a comment? If you do, please hit the raise hand. If you're having difficulty and you're on camera, feel free to raise your hand. So I see a hand raised, and I'll acknowledge Lynn first and Mr. Stoschel second. So Lynn, please name and city, and you have 5 minutes. So Lynn, are you able to unmute yourself? I see your hand is up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Lynn Sayani, and I live in Mill Point Condominiums Association, right across from the college and the park. As trivial as my question will be to you, my concern is about the congestion that it will create on Mill Road. At this point in time, with the industrial, all the heavy vehicles that go down Mill Point Road, that go down Mill Road, do not even have, coming from Woodbridge Avenue into Mill Road, there isn't, these heavy vehicles occupy both the lanes. There is no dedicated lane for these commercial vehicles, and they slow down traffic. Now, I'm very excited about this proposal. It's going to definitely be an advantage, but my question is, what would be the condition of the congestion that it will create on Mill Road? And will there also be an exit from at Mill Road and Woodbridge Avenue? Entrance, I mean, and exit. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Let's see, I see Walt, Mr. Stoschel.
Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You ready?
We are ready. Go ahead, Mr. Stoschel. You are recognized.
I object to the change in use for Thomas Edison Park because it's not just a change in use, it is a diversion. It is taking an existing balanced use park and turning it into a sports complex made out of plastic and pavement. In November 2022, Middlesex College had a press conference where it was announced the college would be building a 14 multi-sport plastic field and cricket field. Renderings provided at the conference showed these facilities plus others. They did not say at the time they would be built in a county park. So such a college-built facility would be a diversion since the college is not a recreation or conservation entity. And this diversion has already begun. The park has been closed since the fall, and there's no timetable to reopen it. The only public information about the public hearing has been the legal notice and the plan on the county park's webpage. I think the plan is deficient because it shows no title block, no scale, no north arrow, and no date, and no notice of who created it. The plan shows the location of the field house, but it is in a different location than the November Middlesex College rendering. The legal notice says only 25% of the building would be used for indoor recreation, but it does not say what the other 75% would be for. Remember, the park was given to the county for outdoor recreation, and buildings decrease the availability for outdoor recreation. Middlesex College, if they need a field house, should use their gym and pool facility on their campus. The parking lot shown is immense, more than 1,200 parking spaces. This also reduces the open green area of the park. The plan removes the mile-long looping walking fitness trail and bicycle path through the park. The small picnic areas and the shaded benches will be gone. I guess if you don't use a ball, your facilities will be gone. The park is a part of the former Raritan Arsenal, which operated from 1917 to 1964. The Arsenal was a major facility for World War I and World War II. Because of that, the Arsenal is listed in the Edison Master Plan as a historic site. The Arsenal is eligible for a National Register of Historic Places, and this change of use diversion is a state action that should trigger a Section 106 review by the State Historic Preservation Office. During the operation of the Arsenal, the park was the location of the sewage plant, which may have contaminated the soils. There were a number of munitions explosions in this area of the Arsenal, and there may be some munitions still buried on the site. In other parts of the Arsenal, the groundwater was so contaminated, vapor barriers and ventilation systems had to be put up under buildings to prevent poisonous fumes from poisoning people. There are a number of monitoring wells in the park. We do not know how a plastic turf field with drainage systems will interact with the groundwater, possibly allowing the fumes to be breathed by the players. The proposal is contrary to the Edison Master Plan, which has a trail through the park to the Raritan River so residents can reach the tidal waters of the Raritan. I also ask that this plan be reviewed by Edison planners to see how it complies with all Edison ordinances. This plan will take a balanced community park and turn it into a money-making sports complex that will bring in thousands of teams and players from all over the East Coast. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed for the residents of Edison. If those who are promoting this want to do it here, they should come up with a parcel of the same size for a park like we have. There's a 30-acre parcel that the federal government owns nearby and are selling. The sports complex could be built there. No action should be taken until all studies and other agencies' approval are given. If the college is the builder and operator, it's clearly a diversion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stoschel. Just so that we can get a little bit of clarification, I'll recognize John Phillips from ACOM just to be able to provide a little bit of background, because this is indeed a county project and not a county college project.
Yeah, I would, it's very important that we do clarify that point, that this is a county part. The CIO plan is a combination of looking at all of the county property, not just the college. And it was always the intention to look at these together. The college will not be the maintainer of this property. This is remaining the county's property. There is no change in terms of that. Just for a couple other points of clarification, the loop that you mentioned is being enhanced and maintained. We are in part of the CIO plan, extending that greenway to there, and also having more opportunities for connections and actually links through the college for additional trailways and connections. We're working on getting the currently blocked area, the pedestrian grade access right now between the college and the Edison Park area opened up to allow for there to be additional opportunities for that to take place.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Do we have, as I'm looking through, do we have, check, any additional hands for questions or comments? I do see, okay, I see a hand. I recognized Mr. Hugh, John Hugh.
Oh, thank you. John Hugh.
John Hugh. Good evening.
Good evening. John from Edison, New Jersey. Yeah, so I do have concerns about this project. The concerns brought up about this being a diversion rather than a change of use. I think that's applicable. I think, you know, if we do lose this amount of land, this amount of green acre space, I would like to see that replenished elsewhere. I would like to know like how much the space. Well, I mean, this is not supposed to be a college plan, but the replacement for the land was going to be a park on the college property. So I'm not sure how that is related. So I would like to see more parkland. My understanding is if this is done through a diversion, then we need to have green acres replenished by twice the amount of land with equal quality. So I think that's important for us to maintain the amount of green space and green acres for Edison residents. I'm also concerned about the cost of the land of this project. I know that land is it's not very flat, and I assume all those fields would have to be flattened. I know there's a lot of arsenals that was discovered in the development in the property adjacent. I'm concerned about that, whether arsenal will be discovered when this land is dug up. And I understand there was mustard gas as well that was discovered, so that's obviously a concern for us. Yeah, so I would like to see the cost of that. I'd like to understand how much that would cost, and that would help us give us a better understanding of how much I guess this property would need to how much profit this property would need to generate in order to compensate for the cost of this land, and how much benefit that would have for Middlesex County residents. So that's it for me. I will submit something in writing as well, likely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shu. We appreciate it. I do see a hand, and I apologize when I try to do the names. I see a hand for Renaud Banerjee.
Yes, hello. My name is Ronald Banerjee. I'm a resident of Plainsboro, New Jersey, in Middlesex County. I do want to just echo some of the concerns raised by some of the other people, not to repeat them, but taking away land and not replenishing them is a problem. Certainly, my big concern, I think, that hasn't been addressed yet is the fact that this is such a big facility, and looking at the number of parking spaces, it looks like it's just going to bring a lot of cars into the community. And having gone to several events at Middlesex College, I've struggled getting in myself. So to build a facility of this size without any kind of mass transit access in this day and age, I think is irresponsible. I certainly, don't mind, building new things and building new stadiums. It's unfortunate that we're taking over a park, but also just to build it in a suburban neighborhood. I know there's access from Route 1, but I don't think the neighborhood could sustain the type of traffic for so many teams coming in. Certainly, I don't believe it would be possible to make mass transit access there easily, but that's just a lot of cars coming in. It's a safety hazard, it's pollution, so something to consider for development of this size is really to how to get that many people there. And I don't think this is the right place for it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Just for clarification, with regard to the hearing in the group, just understand that as part of the Green Acres regulations in support of outdoor recreation, that outdoor recreation and parkland comes in different forms. One of them is active recreation, another is passive recreation. So the intent of this hearing, as we're looking, there's a portion, the park is already in active recreation and will remain in active recreation. There are portions that we're expanding that active recreation. So I don't want folks to think that parkland is being lost, because it most certainly is not. This will remain a park. The types of facilities within that parkland are changing, and hence the subject of the hearing. I'd like to ask Mr. Phillips if you could comment a little bit just with regard. I know that there's some concern relative to the traffic.
So there is, and as the county has been working along Woodridge Avenue already to time the lights and do some improvements along Woodridge Avenue as it is currently set up. and they're going to be expanding those studies. And we are in the process of doing traffic studies on the impacts related to the work that's planned in the CIO along Mill Road. There will be modifications and improvements made along Mill Road to accommodate those based on the studies and determinations that come out of that.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. As I look through the group here, I recognize Esther and Esther's iPad.
Thank you.
Okay.
I live in Edison, and I want to just remind you that a woman who lives adjacent to this raised a point. Now, it's not just traffic on Woodbridge Avenue. You're going to have buses coming down that road because you're going to have teams playing. And I'm wondering if you've made an effort to inform the residents of those complexes there about this and give them an opportunity to weigh in, because it's going to change the nature of their neighborhood, having these not only car traffic, but most likely bus traffic too. That's how teams usually travel. So and nobody responded to her. So I think, just reminding you of that.
Okay. Thank you. Just kind of looking through the group here to be sure that anybody who has wanted to comment or question has had the opportunity. Okay, I recognize Mr. Davis. You're recognized. Just name and town and
Hi, sir. How are you? Thank you for, we've been emailing back and forth, so thank you on a side note. My name is Nathaniel Marshawn Davis, and I am a resident of North Brunswick Township in Middlesex County. I kind of stumbled upon this as I was seeking some space for recreation for model cars, for RC cars, and stumbled upon this because of Thomas Edison Park has a model flying field. I noticed when Mr. Freeman was mentioning the current amenities of the park, he did not mention that, but that is something that the park does have currently. And my question is if it's possible in this new, per se, undertaking in the park, if that can be considered as well, that we could have a place for surface RC vehicles to meet and to commune as well. That is my reason for being here today. Also, now that I'm here, I've per se learned or am learning a lot. And just a question on the format of this. Are there going to be specific per se responses to each person's questions? You know what I mean? Because people have brought up just things that I was unaware of, and I just want to know going forward as I follow this, will every person's per se response on this be addressed, or is it only things that are going to be addressed that are put into writing? And I will be following up in writing as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Davis. I did put, just for everybody's edification, I put my email address within the chat. So again, any written comments can be directed via email to me. And anything that we receive, remember, there is a recording being made of this hearing. There will be a transcript that will be produced, and all that will be sent down to Green Acres. Any of the comments that are specific to the Destination Athletic facility that we're speaking about this evening will be addressed, and all that will be provided to Green Acres, as well as any written comments that are received in my office, either by regular mail or email, will also be submitted to Green Acres as part of our package.
I would just add to that, Mr. Davis, that we are not impacting the model airplane that's outside the scope of work that's here. That will remain. That's not being touched as part of this work.
Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. I can see a few more hands are raised, so I recognize Jennifer Ryan. If you unmute yourself, just name and town, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello. Thank you for listening. I too object to this diversion of Green Acres to a commercial venture. And looking at a Google map, I see that there's really a paucity of trees in this area other than at the park. And this will really change the nature of the neighborhood by increasing the amount of heat that is in the area and increasing the heat island effect. Plastic fields, as you probably know, are up to 86% hotter than turf fields, according to a Brigham and Young study from 2019. And they contribute to the heat island effect. Whereas the trees that are currently there, the current amenities cool the land by 10%. So taking away the trees is going to really impact the neighborhood. So I strongly object.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. I'm looking through. Okay, so as I'm looking through, I see a hand raised from Ron. Ron, you are recognized. Just name and town, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, Ron Loeffler, Edison, New Jersey. I was hoping you could speak to the hours of operation and the percentage of time that it would be open to the residents or the general public, not the commercial operation of it. For Edison, what percentage of the time would it be available for the residents and for other towns in the county?
Yeah, certainly. I can address some of those questions. Currently our parks are open sunrise to sunset, unless there's a permitted activity, in which case, and that usually involves a nighttime activity that has lighting. So whether that's tennis or other sports fields and things like that. So that those will be your relative hours. So it's certainly open for folks to come, to walk, to spend time. And then certainly as we move forward into the scheduling aspect, the athletic complex will be available for community reservation and use. So certainly being able to combine our ongoing customers, who have been there, whether it's the Edison Youth Soccer Association, as well as working them together with the kind of pre-scheduled tournament play, that is something that the county is committed to be able to kind of have that space available for folks. And we do realize that, yes, okay, everybody is looking for some prime times, and we feel confident that we're able to kind of schedule that in a way that everybody will be able to have access that they need. And then certainly folks can have just regular daily access to it, in and out. As we said, for walks, we anticipate the folks from Raritan Center will be able to pick up their walks again during lunchtime, and we invite that use as well. Let's see, I have a hand raised, and I recognize Mark Lesko.
Hi, Mark Lesko, Highland Park. I used to work at Middlesex College for 16 years, and the traffic there is a nightmare. So reiterating what others said, there's no possible way you can fit additional traffic down that road. The loss of trees is going to be devastating. I know an individual who lives in the apartments across the street who just had back surgery and uses that park to walk, and will no longer be able to do so, especially while it's being constructed. And also, it's going to be a significant loss of habitat for the animals that live there, including fox. Is there any plans to reestablish a large enough cluster of fully grown trees to accommodate the habitat of the animals that currently live there? And also, the property values will probably significantly go down due to the increased traffic and noise and heat, like others mentioned. Is there any compensation for the residents in that neighborhood who will have a tougher time getting home now and just traveling around, and overall lower quality of life?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lesko. Mr. Freeman, could you just speak to, there has been questions relative to the trees. So as far as the planning and the design goes.
Yeah, some of the forest is getting removed, but we plan on planting additional trees back and habitat. So no wooded wetlands are impacted. The trees that are being disturbed were in old arsenal areas where we're going to plant with native species, and hardier vegetation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Freeman. I'm looking just through the group. I have a hand raised, and I would recognize that the name I'm reading is Abha. You're recognized. Just name and town, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Abha. I also have my daughter Aishwarya here, who also wants to make a comment. My comment is again with the trees. I recently took an environmental steward class that was given by Middlesex County and Rutgers Cooperative Extension. And we learned that like when we take down mature trees and we do replace them with like younger trees, it's not the same. So we just, whenever we do these kind of things, we got to make sure that we're taking environmental issues completely into consideration, because we do have to live with the consequences. And also about the habitat, making sure like if you're developing everywhere, and I hear people complain about deer and squirrels and all kinds of animals, but like where are the animals supposed to go if you're building everywhere? Mm-hmm. So that's all for me, and my daughter has her own comment.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Aishwarya. I also live in Edison, New Jersey. I just wanted to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to submit some public feedback. I'd just like to echo some of the things other people have said about the environmental impacts as well as the traffic impacts of this proposed development, and was just wondering if you could speak to any information about possible flood risks that would come because of the replacement of the natural lands from grass to turf, especially if I mean, I don't know if there's a specific timeline also on when additional trees would be planted, which might also help or mitigate flood risk. So yeah, that's my question.
Actually, can I add to that? Because we also learned about impervious and pervious surface, and flooding is one of the serious issues around here. And we are working to make more surfaces pervious so that the rain can go down into the ground, because when it has to travel across a piece of land that's not pervious, it also takes a lot of pollution with it. So yeah, so that's a good job bringing that up.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate that. I'm going to ask Mr. Freeman. He should be able to address some of the stormwater and those questions that you had asked.
Yeah, so part of our job is to analyze the stormwater runoff on any site that is changed. You're right that the artificial turf fields are pretty much impervious, but there's infiltration systems underneath the fields and the parking area to recharge. So actually less runoff after the project is complete will be there. It's part of the DEP rules to restrict flows from the existing.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Again, I'm just, as we kind of continue through, looking through do we have anyone else? At this point, I do not see any additional hands for question or for comment. However, again, you have the opportunity to raise the hand screen or the button down at the bottom of your screen. So check, and I'll give it first call, second call. Okay. All right.
Hello.
Oh, Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm an old guy, so
okay.
I thought I hit the hand. How are you?
We're well. You are recognized. Go ahead. Where are you from?
I live in Edison, New Jersey. Without repeating so much of what others have said, I really support Emil's, John's, Walter, and Renault's points. I think they're very important points. And just a subtle thing, you said it could be active or passive recreation, but that doesn't seem to include commercial recreation, which seems to be so much of what this project's going to be and what's going to kill us with traffic. there's only two ways to get to that park, and they both come from Woodbridge Avenue. Route 1 is already a parking lot. Edison's a mess with traffic, and to just bring this on top of everything else, we might as well just put an Amazon warehouse there. It's just a sad thing. I mean, it's a beautiful thing you're doing fixing the park, but the results to the residents were, if you're running, if you're renting out to teams on a weekend, the volume of traffic on Saturdays and Sundays with 1,200 parking spots is going to be insane. And thanks for letting me speak.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Diamond. I understand I asked Mr. Phillips, he had spoken to the traffic before, and we understand it's a recurring question. So if Mr. Phillips could just add into that.
Yeah, and we do recognize that the issues here. Woodbridge Avenue is a very, very heavily traveled thoroughfare. We understand also that the traffic that we have that's happening along Mill Road currently, especially along going back to the warehousing area, is pretty intensive. That's why the traffic study and the improvements along Mill Road are essential to making this project successful. So we definitely are clear on those issues, and the traffic engineers are taking those points seriously to make sure that we are going to not, when we're done here, not result in a worse condition and looking to make it a better condition than even what's there today.
Respectfully, I'm not sure if you put 1,000 cars onto Mill Road than Woodbridge Road. I'm not sure what you could possibly do unless you airlift the cars or put a bridge somewhere else to get them going south. I have no idea where you're going to put cars. You can't widen Woodbridge to 3 or 4 lanes. You can't widen Route 1. I mean, what magical solution do you have? I watch a lot of planning and zoning board meetings. I hear what engineers say all the time, and then we always wind up with a surprise once the project's done. And it is our worst nightmare most of the time when the projects are completed.
John Carroll, I recognize Mr. Carroll to kind of add to that.
Thanks, Rick. Just want to, John Carroll, Public and Government Affairs with the county, and recognize the purpose of this hearing today is relative to the Destination Athletic Complex, but want to draw back to a point that John Phillips mentioned earlier. In addition to the planned improvements along Mill Road, as well as the traffic study, which will be done on this site specifically to identify the potential increases, we have an ongoing and active project on Woodbridge Avenue for an advanced traffic management system. Essentially what that does is takes the traffic signals along Woodbridge Avenue, coordinates them to move the flow of traffic in and out of the corridor in a more effective and expeditious manner. So we're very focused on that issue and ensuring that along with the work that's done here, that doesn't impact, the local quality of life. Look, we recognize that is something that, the county remains committed to looking at throughout this process.
Thank you, John. As we kind of look through again, just so that everybody's had ample opportunity, looking through the participants, I don't see any additional hands at this point. Oh, okay. So I see a hand, Nicole Rogers. Just your name and town, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for sharing the details of the project. I live in Summit and I work in Edison, Raritan Center. Are they planning on sharing the results of the traffic studies once they are formulated in a public meeting such as this?
I'll ask John Phillips, is that something that at this point we're able to address?
Well, currently the traffic study is still ongoing. In terms of the outcome, I would say it's too early in the process to say.
Okay, thank you. And then are they planning on, so right now the access is just from Woodbridge Avenue, correct? To these fields?
Yeah, Woodbridge Avenue, via Woodbridge Avenue, via Mill Road. That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. At this point, I'll go ahead and look through if there's any other comments or questions. I'll recognize any hands I see. And we'll, at this point, we'll throw out a last call. Okay. So again, just we want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Just as a reminder, I did put my email in the chat. We're still accepting comments. Any written comments can be directed to my email in the chat. We're taking comments up to April 12th, 2023, and all those comments will be put together and be sent down to Green Acres. Again, we appreciate everybody's time, your attention, your attendance, and I close the public hearing, and I wish everybody a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to ask you really quick. Did you guys have a specific turnaround time on this at all?
Hey, John.
I don't know if you need to publish it
Wanted to give you guys an update on the
before the
thing. If
public comment, like before the public comment period's over, or
John, he's out. But
all right. Sorry.
So
it's okay.
shoot him an email if you wanted to know.
Hey, John Freeman, can you mute yourself?
I think
I got email. I got
Okay.
him too.
So
that's okay.
Stephanie, by the 12th, so that we can include.
Oh,
okay,
you got.
Yeah, because we do need to include
yeah,
that
you have time. You need to include it in there. Yeah.
in our submission to Green Acres.
So I'll be okay. No problem.
Sounds good. Then,
Yep. Thank
I guess
you.
we'll
All
talk.
right.